Round 2 of the championship sees the riders arrive at the NRG Stadium in Houston. After last week's racing at Anaheim, it is MV Films rider Logan Leitzel and Relaxer Tyres Jeremy Shipley who hold the red plates in their respective championships. This week sees a change of style regarding the track. Last week was more tight and slow. This week's layout allows for faster racing and bigger rhythms. Who would cope with the track the best? Top in 250 qualifying this league was championship leader Logan Leitzel, just ahead of American Jack Haley and Madcape's Yannick Muller. In the 450 class, Frenchman Alexis Leclerc set a time of 50.8 ahead of Connor Lins and reigning champion Hunter Roots. Red plate holder Logan Leitzel arrives here looking to extend his lead on motor chasing rider Chase Donovan and Air Force 8's Jack Fowler. And in the 450 class, Jeremy Shipley will be looking to protect his red plate from the chasing Colton Mitchell and the Englishman Connor Lins. Here's what happened inside the NRG Stadium in Houston. After a gritty performance last week, it looked like Ben Seberg was fired up again this week. The Team Green Kawasaki rider rocketed his machine out of the gate and led from fellow Brits Jonathan Hughes and Jake Rose. Championship leader Logan Leitzel didn't get off to the best of starts. He was buried on lap 1, but having said that, he was in a similar position last week and still came out on top. Jack Haley of Relaxer Tyre had worked his way around Flo Lucassen for second place and would begin to try to hunt down Ben Seberg. But in just 2 laps, Seberg had pulled a 6-second lead. The Australian Clint Martin was looking good. He was now pressuring Lucassen for 3rd place and would make the move. Clint, who missed round 1, seemed to have nothing to lose and was just wanting to give it his all. Things were happening fast for Lucassen though, as he would also be passed aggressively by Devin Ryan. Lap 4 would see our last week's Rider of the Night, Chase Donovan, in 8th place, just ahead of points leader Logan Leitzel. Would these two spring into action late on once again once the track roughens up? Donovan would now find himself battling with Devin Ryan for 7th place. Ryan would make the move down the inside, making Donovan go wide into the tough blocks. The motor chasing rider remounted way down in 16th place. Clint Martin and Jake Rose were duking it out for the final step on the podium. Jake Rose had definitely had a more comfortable night here in Houston after winning his heat, and was now producing a good ride in the main. Would he make his way past the Australian in an attempt to catch Haley and Seberg up front? Logan Leitzel was now in 7th behind Flo Lucassen. The MV Films rider made this pass through the whoops and now would have to go about hunting down Clint Martin 3 seconds ahead. Ben Seberg was still looking good in the lead and continued to inch out on Jack Haley and Jake Rose, but the Brit got a little complacent and had a small crash. This would allow Jack Haley to be onto the rear tyre, and it gave something for the fans inside the NRG Stadium, something special to watch. Our 3rd place rider last week, Jack Fowler, was not having a good main event here in Houston. The Air Force 8 rider was still in 20th at the midway point. The battle for the lead was intensifying, but it wasn't stopping Seberg or Haley being stylish. Both riders seemed to be relishing the chance to be fighting for the win. Just a lap later, it would be Ben Seberg who would make the mistake. The Team Green Kawasaki rider lost the front end on the landing of the finish line, which meant he could only double the Supercross triple. Haley made the move over Seberg's head and would lead for the first time tonight. Seberg did retake the lead, but a small coming together with a lapper meant that Haley passed him back. These two were separated by less than a second and will for sure give us a great end to the race. Logan Leitzel was sitting in 5th place and not too far behind Devin Ryan. The MV Film star looked set to increase his championship lead, as last week's 2nd and 3rd place riders were both buried in 15th and 18th. Haley now had a manageable lead going on to the last lap and looked set to win the main event here in Houston. Seberg was 4.5 seconds behind, but he also had a safe gap behind to Jake Rose. Our 250 West main event winner here in Houston was Jack Haley of Relaxer Tyre. The American showed calmness throughout the race and took his opportunities when they arose. Would this kickstart his campaign and put a run on for the championship? Seberg would bring his Kawasaki home in 2nd place, just ahead of the hard-charging Architect rider Jake Rose. Our 250 Rider of the Night goes to Flo Lucassen. Flo had a poor start to the heat and couldn't regroup to make it into the transfer spots. The Frenchman cleared his mind and took the win in the LCQ. He managed to get an excellent start in the main and was running top 5 for the first third of the race. He would eventually end up in 9th, but still a great ride after a difficult night. That concludes the 250 West racing here in Houston. Another great show by these guys this week, and it would be Jack Haley standing on the top step ahead of Ben Seberg in 2nd, and Jake Rose ending up in 3rd. In 4th place it was Haley's teammate Devin Ryan, ahead of championship leader Logan Leitzel. Clint Martin had a good ride in 6th place ahead of Jonathan Hughes and Evergood's Edward Mora. Flo Lucasen put in a great ride after coming through the LCQ and ended up in 9th. He just edged out Ryan Mahan of Medheap. Logan Lightswell has now extended his lead in the championship and now leads by 5 points over Jake Rose. After a poor showing at round 1, Ben Seberg moves up to 3rd place ahead of Jonathan Hughes in 4th and probably a very disappointed Chase Donovan in 5th. With the 450 class being so competitive this year, getting a good start is vital. Grabbing the early advantage here in Houston was the likeable Norwegian Dennis Fjellberg. He would lead from the ILAB mounted riders Russ Chapman and Alexis Leclerc. Fjellberg's lead didn't last long. He got out of shape in the whoops and handed over the lead to the in-form Russ Chapman. The iLab.com rider would be very hard to beat now with the form he has been in. Lap 3 saw a three-way battle for 3rd place. Connor Lins led the super fast Tyson Fresquez and rival decals Kevin Fazaka. Championship leader Jeremy Shipley was mid-pack early on. He was locked in a battle with Frenchman Enzo Boutigny. Shipley made the pass at the end of the whoops, but Boutigny did not give the position up. The two went side by side in the long ribbon before the finish, and Shipley finally made the move stick and had his target set on Architect's Valtteri Tiainen. With Colton Mitchell out injured this week, the top guys had a chance to gain points on the talented American. Mullins, who had ended up 4th last week, was pushing hard to catch the guys in the podium spots. Mullins then made a statement move by drawing side by side with Tyson Fresquez. The Madcape rider was looking to go down the inside of Fresquez on the corner before the finish, but checked up. He then got great drive coming back to the finish and sealed the deal after Fresquez missed the Supercross triple. Atom Holm and Valtteri Tiainen were battling for 8th. Tiainen looked aggressive and dived down the inside of the MV Films rider. Holm showed experience and cut down on Tiainen, and the pair went side by side in the whoops, where Tiainen took the position. Shipley had now moved his way into 6th place after disposing of Tyson Fresquez. He'd got gradually better during the moto last week and seemed to be doing the same again. Our race leader, Russ Chapman, seemed to be in a different league to everyone else in Houston. He now led the race by 10 seconds over his teammate Alexis Leclerc. Team Volcom's Hunter Root was starting to make steady progress throughout the field. Last year's champion had an awful start to the main, but would now find himself passing Anaheim 1 winner Jeremy Shipley. Kevin Fazaka had now moved around Connor Lins into 3rd place. He looked very smooth and seemed to be adapting to the difficult track conditions. It would be interesting to see if he could hold on to the podium spot. Jesse Mullins had begun to hunt down Connor Lins with just a few laps to go. Mullins seemed to be getting quicker throughout the main and was making a really good charge forward. Would Lins, our 250 champion from last year, be able to deal with the pressure? Lins then made a mistake and handed the 4th position to Jesse Mullins. Lins now had more to deal with as Hunter Root and Jeremy Shipley were close behind. Root was starting to look more like his old self after a poor start at round 1. Hunter Root then made this pass around Lins to take 5th position. However, Lins would not give it up. It was great to see last year's champions fighting it out. Root would hold the position for now though. The pair could still not be separated a lap later. The Houston crowd were on their feet as the Brit and American duked it out. It looked like Lins was trying to show some authority in the 450 class, but it looked as though Root's experience would pay off. Going into the sand, Root shut the door on Lins and defended yet another attack from the fiery Architect rider. With just 2 laps to go, it looked like Mullins was trying to steal a well-deserved podium away from Kevin Fazaka. But Fazaka was riding very smart and not allowing Jesse Mullins an opportunity to show a wheel. Could Kevin Fazaka hold on? Alexis Leclerc had been sitting comfortably in 2nd the whole race behind his teammate. He then made a costly error which allowed both Fazaka and Mullins through. Surely now Kevin Fazaka would finish on the podium. Russ Chapman had rode a perfect race today. He led from lap 1 and had now extended his lead over Fazaka to almost 20 seconds. Are we looking at a future champion of this series? Somewhat remarkably, Hunter Root had passed both Mullins and Leclerc on the last lap, which put our reigning champion on the podium. An experienced and spirited race from the Volcom rider. But our Premier Class winner here in Houston will be iLab.com rider Russ Chapman. He would win by 20 seconds over an elated Kevin Fazaka in 2nd, and a much improved Hunter Root finished in 3rd. Our 450 Rider of the Night goes to Kevin Fazaka of Rival Decal. I'm not sure many would put money on Kevin Fazaka finishing in the podium spots, but the Rival Decal rider rode a magnificent race and took advantage of other rider mistakes to bring it home in 2nd. A great ride for the young American, and we'll be looking to back it up at A2 next week. That wraps up the Premier Class here in the NRG Stadium in Houston. Some excellent racing out there tonight and a completely different podium to last week. Taking the top step this week was Russ Chapman on his iLab.com Husqvarna, ahead of Rival Decal's Kevin Fazaka. The last step on the podium goes to Team Volcom's Hunter Root. Coming home in 4th it would be Jesse Mullins, followed in by the Frenchman Alexis Leclerc in 5th. Brit Connor Linz will be disappointed after finishing 6th, just ahead of MV Films duo Adam Holm and Jeremy Cohenhauer, in 7th and 8th. Jeremy Shipley had a bad night, but rescued some points by finishing in 9th, and rounding out the top 10 was Jeremy Seabolt. Chapman now takes the red plate away from Shipley, who stays in 2nd place, 2 points adrift, and Madcape rider Mullins sits in 3rd, just 3 points off the championship lead. That ends round 2 of the championship here in Houston. Once again we saw some tremendous racing in both classes. We now get to see a clearer picture of who our contenders are, and it is for sure looking exciting. Chapman will head to A2 of the red plate in the 450 class, and for the 2nd week running, Logan Lightswell will have it aboard his Honda. A2 is the first Triple Crown of the season, so will the different format cause more drama? Join us next week to find out.